And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did cry out for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shimmering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strode across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Please. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome to Two Please, here on cynicalbit.com with myself, Total Biscuit. The date today is the 17th of April, 2010. It's a Saturday. Not exactly usual, is it? I wanted to do this show for one reason only, and that's so that I could actually get on the damn dev chat. And you know what? The dev chat has been incredibly disappointing. I don't know if you've actually read this yet, but there is so little in it. There is so little actual content in the dev chat. It's kind of crazy, but I will endeavour to fill as much time as possible with this, as well as read your emails. Well, what we got coming for the show today, I can tell you, it's going to be the dev chat, no doubt about that. That was what went out on Twitter last night. Not an awful lot of it, but there's enough to fill some time. Also going to be doing a live Q&A. Haven't done this for a very long time. I'm going to give you the chance to ask whatever questions you want about WoW or otherwise in a quick-fire manner. Go drop them into the chat room, and not yet, because that wouldn't be any use to anybody. I'm not paying attention to it right now. What you can do is you can send me the questions via the chat room. Go to cynicalbit.com, click the chat button at the bottom of the screen, and you will see the wonders of the video chat, the studio cam, and all that good stuff. Go on there, and when I ask you, send me some PMs. I believe you do that by... Let's see, I think you click on my name and you click on send private message. If you want, you can leave me some messages now and I'll get to them later. So any questions you got, WoW related, whatever the hell you want, future of the site, something like that, send me a message and I shall do a Q&A towards the end of the show. And of course, your chance to contribute in a different way. It's the illusion of choice. Yes, indeed, folks. Send me an email to themurloc@cynicalbit.com. That is themurloc@cynicalbit.com with your chance to contribute to the show. Pick up a topic. Something good, something interesting. Do so, and I may read it. Incredible, is it not? Well, that horse video's been doing rather well, hasn't it? Good lord. As of now, we're sitting on about 100,000 views. Yes, indeed, 100,000 views. And I wonder how many of those guys were trolled successfully. I'm willing to bet quite a few. Oh, it's great. It's awesome. It's fantastic. I love it. I really do. I think it's going to be a shame, though, if that's my most successful video. But what I will say is that, considering the success of it, I think I'm going to have to do a few more of those. Look for a hot button issue. Yes. Come up with a little video, throw it together in 13 minutes, put it on the internet, suddenly instant 100,000 views. It's awesome, isn't it? And I'd like to welcome all of those who have joined the podcast, new to the show, thanks to that video. I'm sure there are a few of you. Welcome, welcome. You have discovered the most cynical, the most angry, the most ranty podcast on the planet. That's just the way we roll, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not in the chat room, I suggest you head there. Look at cynicalbit.com is the email address, but the actual chat room is available on cynicalbit.com. Click the chat button at the bottom of the screen. You will see many people, our wall of faces. We have B-Drone, who is menacing people with a plastic scythe and spinning around. He is our token guy of ethnicity. He makes us look a little bit more cosmopolitan. It's very important in a sea of pale white males aged 18 to 35. Actually, maybe no wives a bit older than that. So he's our token geriatric, as you can see there in the chat. We also have one avatar who is not doing anything in particular. We have some guy who has pointed the cam at his window. There is nothing there. We have a stuffed Murky rotating on a turntable. Yes, that and many more, the wonders of what you can find here in the chat room. Dear Lord. One wonders why we bother. Mainly because it's a lot of fun. Now, if you're in the IRC channel, well, you're in the wrong place, honestly. Really. But, regardless, I suppose you can hang around there. In the meantime, I suppose we better get some emails on. We don't honestly have an awful lot of emails, and that's not a really big surprise, considering we usually have one show a week. We don't have a show within 24 hours of the last one. That's rather unusual. It takes time for the show to get to iTunes, people to listen to it, then send the emails in, and all the good stuff. And since that has not happened, well, we'll trawl through. We'll see if we can find anything. I'm sure there'll be something in the mailbag somewhere. So, without further ado...
Mail time! That sounds like... It's mail time! Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed, folks, it's mail time. It's the time where we read the mail, and we do, in fact, have some emails that were just hanging around at the bottom of the mailbag. Nothing wrong with that. Just chilling, relaxing, all cool. No, don't get me started. Right, so, this one is from Critters. He's the level 80 Troll Priest. Guild is Angel Fury. Area 52 US. And he says this: Lord Total Biscuit. That is not my official title, just FYI. I agree with you on the retarded horse thing. Its originality became a moot point nearly overnight. Anyone paying $25 for nothing but a digital signature is quite pathetic. I recently earned a Black Drake from OS3D. It's been around for a long time, and guess what? Not everyone has it. That's actually true, as it happens. Even though a lot of people have now done OS3D, that Drake is not the most common of mounts, and at least it demonstrates some degree of achievement, even if you can just bum rush that boss in 58 seconds now. Anyway. It was earned through teamwork in a raid, and not just by spewing cash into Blizzard's pocket. What's even worse is the other two new pets, Little XT and Katie. Haven't quite entirely got the gist of it. I think two people have to bring them together, but not sure. But there's an extremely annoying cry/voice that is going off consistently in Dalaran due to those new pets. Pests is what I call them. It's become a new toy for the 12-year-olds, and they've managed to irritate and piss off any sane person who needs to gather players for raids in a city. Thank you, Blizzard. If they had any sense to them whatsoever, they'd turn off that annoying noise. Yeah, that's something they did not think of at all. There has been a response to this, a blue response on the forums as it happens, which is a good thing. I'm happy with that. It's very important that they have recognised it as an issue. The fact of the matter is that what's happening, from what I can tell, is that the Little XT is making a crazy, crazy loud noise. Like, he's doing the no, 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 no thing, which I don't have a sample for, so I don't need to demonstrate. I could just press this button. It's the universal sound of money, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, this thing makes a really loud, annoying noise, and to be honest, it severs any goodwill that I had towards that boss. I mean, that boss used to be fun, those sand samples used to be great, but now they've provided a way to just spam it in the middle of a city. It's incredibly infuriating. Oh, I am thankful that I am not raiding this weekend, because I'd be dealing with that otherwise. I did log in for a little while, actually, to have a look at how many retarded horses were in Dalaran. There were quite a few, needless to say. I decided to take a screenshot as well, so amongst other things, one of the accusations that's been leveled towards me about this whole retarded horse thing is that I'm jealous of the horse. Now, of course, let's ignore the fact that the advertising revenue raised from the video and the extra hits that the site got could more than pay for a horse if I wanted. But apparently I must be jealous of the horse. Well, I put together a little image and I posted it for you in the chat room on cynicalbrit.com. Yes, go have a look at that one. Yeah, it's difficult, honestly. When you're riding around on this pimpin' bear, and you're wearing this pimpin' Murloc suit that is at least not covered in fur, thank God, and you've got this big Murky, which you fed a pet biscuit to, and then you're standing next to that stupid, stretchy-looking horse. Tell me which looks cooler. Yeah, no argument about that whatsoever, quite frankly. Okay, anyway, let's get back to this email. I'm going off on a tangent. So, anyway, he says, on another note, my guild was in vent the other night after downing Rotface and Festigut Woods. Yes, congratulations to that. That's the first sort of really reasonable hurdle that you've got to bypass in ICC. It's not all that easy, and it's not incredibly hard either, but hey. Anyway, they were talking about the guild that we recently separated from due to a conflict of interest, and other stuff, but we won't get into that. One of the members had suggested that Blizzard should create an arena strictly for guild versus guild. I'd like to know what you think of that, as I think it would be an excellent idea to be able to put the best against the best of two guilds in the same faction. I've heard on one of your previous shows that some guilds have rivalries against other guilds. Why not let them battle it out in PvP in some way, with ranking similar to guild progression? I don't see why not, honestly. That seems like a perfectly reasonable idea. The thing about guilds is that, and this is something I want to change in Cataclysm, is that they serve barely any purpose in a strictly technical sense. I mean, obviously it's a gathering of players, but you can do anything that a guild can do simply by having a group of people on your friends list. I mean, that's all a guild is right now, a glorified friends list. I'd like to see that changed in a way that actually makes sense, and of course, that's what Cataclysm is doing. It would make sense to have guild versus guild battles. I mean, clan wars have been going on since the dawn of time. There is an entire game called Guild Wars. I think it's safe to say that it's a good idea and that some people do want it. As to why they haven't done it yet, I mean, it's a little bit of a mystery, isn't it, honestly? It's quite surprising that it hasn't happened as of yet. But we'll see what Cataclysm brings. Maybe they'll break it out there. That would be rather amusing. Now let's have a look and see what else we've got in terms of the mailbag. Dig through. If not, we'll be going to a music break, and we'll be talking about this silly Twitter chat thing. Yes, indeed. Let's have a look. Oh, yes. A reminder from someone, Pariasi, what the hell? Paciency. What the hell is that? I don't know. What the hell ever his name is. wowinterface.com/info16373-tidyplatesepeen.html. There is now an epeen mod in the theme of that crazy April Fool's joke. That's silly, isn't it? Ridiculous. Well worth having a look at, though, needless to say. And I think that's probably about it for the time being, other than an awful lot of shouts. Oh no, actually, got a few more. Here's one. This one's from Cameron Burton, aka Gargoyle, the level 80 paladin on Ruin, Ice Crown US. He says this: I agree with the mentality, if you're not raiding, why do you need raid gear? However, to get rid of the idea that raid gear should be for everyone, there needs to be a way to progress your characters in some other fashion, since currently gear and achievements are the only ways that allow your character to progress. What do you think about implementing a system which allows people to progress their characters, and what do you think rated BGs would be the answer? Well, it's an interesting point. I think, honestly, there should be an awful lot of ways to progress your character. Even if some of them are incredibly... what's the word I'm looking for? Incredibly superficial. And achievements are superficial, but some people care about that. That's become abundantly clear. So, if that's the case, one has to wonder what else would people care about. What would people progress through? What would people willingly do? What kind of activities would people willingly participate in order to progress their character in some way? Huh? It's a tangendental progression. I'm pretty sure that's not how you pronounce it, but I don't care. Progression in a bunch of different directions. Things that aren't necessarily obvious. Things that aren't necessarily quantifiable numerically. Like, say, increasing your stats. Achievements is a prime example of that, but even that's a stat that can be progressed. I would ask, what about things that are purely cosmetic, that just take a lot of work? Say, I could perhaps modify... Let's have a think. I could modify the way that my cloak looks. I mean, there's a couple of things coming in, these overcloaks, that are supposed to provide a way to change the colour of the cloak that you currently have. What about progressing through and getting things that you can add to your armor. I mean, if you think about it, Warhammer Online's done this. It's not too difficult. I remember back in Warhammer Online, one of the coolest things that I found is that you were able to put on a little spoon. Yes, indeed. You get a trophy that was a spoon, and you could hang it from your shoulder. That was kind of neat. Makes me wonder whether or not people would go out of their way to progress something like that. Would a PvPer willingly have a trophy rack on his back, and the more PvP kills he gets, the more trophies he can acquire? That's a method of progression that is entirely superficial, but I can bet my bottom dollar that people would actually go for it. Just anything like that. Anyway, my name is Total Biscuit. You're listening to Blue Please here on cynicalbrit.com. I'll be back after the break to talk about this Twitter chat. We'll see what we have there. In the meantime, I'm going to play a track. Yes, indeed. Some Frank Lepaki wouldn't go amiss, quite frankly. The problem is there are so many good ones. Let's have a think. Which one could we go for? I've got so much Frank Lepaki music, it's just crazy. How about a classic, ladies and gents? Mechanical Man. I'll be right back after this. Enjoy.